Hey everyone, this is Nicole Watt, the Pixel Maven at Pixel Maven's Retreat, and thanks for joining me for this advanced technique video. Today I'm going to share with you how I created this antiqued copper look on this awesome, very stunning card. The rest of the card is actually quite simple. We've got a watercolor wash, we've got some swirls, we've got some copper thread and some embossing, but this is the part that we're going to talk about today. So let's get to it. Very simply, I took the Seaside embossing folder and I just embossed a piece of copper foil paper. And it doesn't matter that these parts are coming off because we're going to cut it in the end. And you can see that I started off with this piece here actually, and I only needed part of it, so I just went ahead and saved the rest for this video. So basically you need a piece of embossed copper, or you could use silver or gold, whichever color you really want as your base. And then I'm going to use 3 ink colors: Basic Black, Cajun Craze, and Island Indigo. And this is really to give the copper that kind of aged patina look. Now if you wanted to, you could use different colors and come up with really wild combinations. And I think it would probably all look really stunning. So some other supplies you're going to need is a piece of sandpaper and your Stampin' Mist. And I just like to wrap mine in some washi tape because it's a really old container and it just looks better that way. Anyway, and you're going to need some sponge daubers and your re-inkers. So I started off, I've got Basic Black, Cajun Craze, and Island Indigo. And then I used my re-inker to put some ink in the top here because you're really going to just use the re-inker mostly. So even if you don't have these color pads, as long as you have the re-inkers, you can go ahead and use those. Oh, and I almost forgot, I got to unwind myself here and grab a paper towel because you're really going to need a paper towel. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you're just going to take your sponge dauber, and your hands are going to get dirty in this one, guys, sorry. And you're just going to start sponging your color onto the paper. And the black really is to start getting into the crevices because we really want the crevices to get dark, nice and dark. All right, and if you, along the way, if you want to blot some of that off, you can, and then we're going to use the heat gun to, and actually with this first layer, I like to just spread it across here to really get it in. All right, and then you're just going to keep doing that until you get really the color that you want. I wouldn't do too much black to start with because then you're not really going to have anywhere to go. So see, I had a little more on that time, which is good. And this you're really going to wipe off. There we go. Okay, so see, I have lots of nice black in the lines here. Then you're going to dip into your Cajun Craze and do the same thing to start bringing out more of the copper now that you've covered it in black. But the idea here is to also get some of that sponged look so that it looks like it's oxidized or, you know, starting to rust. All right, and then the same thing, I need some Island Indigo here. Now it's important that you use the re-inkers like in your lids because what you're going to notice here is that even though I'm starting with Cajun Craze Island Indigo, the Cajun Craze here is still wet, so it's going to start to blend and mix together. And when that happens, then this over here starts to turn into like a combination between Cajun Craze and Island Indigo, and we don't want that to go back under our ink pad. And the cool thing about this technique, like other watercolor sponging type techniques, is that every time it's different. So you just really don't know what you're going to get. And then blot, 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 blot. So this time, like this first one, I used a lot of black in it, and that's why it looks so dark. This time I have a lot more Island Indigo in here and much less black, and so you can see that the it looks more green and oxidized. So I'm just going to hit this with my heat gun. Because we want to make sure that the ink is dry on here, otherwise you're going to put your fingers in here and it's going to smear all over, and you're going to also lose the texture. So you really want to make sure that you're drying this. It's going to start to warp too. So, you know, do this always against a heat resistant surface like this mat that I use. That's a Teflon mat. If you want the link to the mat, I'll put it in my description below. It's an Amazon affiliate link. I appreciate any support that you can give me, so click on the link and get this awesome mat. It's totally heat resistant. It doesn't peel up any of the paint on my desktop or anything, and it's totally adhesive and ink resistant, so even the archival inks I can wipe up with just a little bit of water or Windex or whatever. Okay, and you might hear some crackling. I'm probably not through the video here, but when you're heating this up, you might hear some crackling, and I'll show you what that is in a minute here. Okay, that's pretty good. So what the crackling is this plastic lining that's on the back of the of this metal paper, and that you can just see how it just kind of peels off. You can just pull that off and throw it away. It's a little staticky. And just peel off whatever is free on the back. You don't have to worry about getting it all off because you're probably going to be adhering this somewhere anywhere where you're not going to see the back. All right, so you can see now I have this, and it's pretty dry. It's still a hair tacky, and that's okay, because we still have a few things to do. So another thing that you can do is, if you want to take this look further, is to take some sandpaper and just sand lightly a couple of times over it, and you're going to see now that there's marks through the paper, because this is a metal, like literally metal. It will leave scratches, and that helps with the aging. So again, at this point, no more basic black, because you just really don't need it. So now you can put some more of the green, the Island Indigo for the patina on here. And if you feel like you need more copper to show through, again, you can do more of the Cajun Craze. If you're doing gold, instead of Cajun Craze, maybe I would use Daffodil Delight or Crushed Curry to bring some of the gold tones back in. But then you're going to go ahead and heat set this again. I know, it's a process, guys. That's why this is an advanced technique, because it takes a little more time, but the wow factor is just amazing. All right, so you can see like that really starts to blend in to those scratches. It's beautiful. I like this piece better than the first one. I'm not going to swap it out though. I'll make another card. So these kinds of techniques I reserve for super special cards, for super special people, because you know they're not going to throw them away, and they know the value of handmade. Okay, so the last thing that I would do, if you want, and you can see it in this one, you can leave it just like this if you want, but in this one you can see that there's like some water pooling and things like that. That's from the Stampin' Mist. So you could use water, but the Stampin' Mist is already locked and loaded and ready to go. So I just mist it. And the more you mist it, the more it's going to pool the colors, because basically they're not really super set on here. They're just laying on top, so that's going to reactivate. And I would do this on low first if you have a bi-level heat gun like the Stampin' Up! One. So I would do it on low, so that way you're not moving the ink. You're just trying to dry it in place. Because see, it's going to move anyway. So you just kind of want to swirl around, so that way you're not pushing it all to one side or the other. It dries pretty quick because the Stampin' Mist is just a water-based product. Oh. Guys, I really, really like this one. And then once you have most of the water, then I would bump it up to high again and just give it one last zap. All right, so that is how you make an antiqued patinaed piece of copper. And like I said, every time it's going to turn out different, but it's awesome every time. So now I'd love to see what you do with this. If you do it in gold or silver or copper, don't forget to tag your projects with PMR Inspired 17 so I can find you out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I might just share your project on my blog. So go ahead and give this technique a try. And until next time, happy crafting.